And we're live.
We're
Let's
live
talk
again.
about the mystery of Coral Castle.
Coral Castle. It's super, super interesting. I love it. It's one of these newer megalithic type of tremendous engineering. And the difference with this one is that it was done 100 years ago or so. It was done by a gentleman, an immigrant. His name was Edward Lee Skolnin, and he came from Latvia. Okay? I think Latvia is near Russia.
Yeah,
And
Eastern Europe.
yeah, he landed in the United States in 1919 at the age of 31. Okay? And what's very intriguing about this is that he was a gentleman of short stature. Okay? He was about 5'5", okay, 5 foot 5 inches, and very thin. He weighed like 90 pounds. And he went out to Florida because he got very sick with tuberculosis. Apparently, when he had gone to the United States, he had worked in the coal mines and gotten sick. So the doctor told him, hey, you got to go out and get some fresh air. So he ended up in Florida. Okay. Very, very interesting. And he actually met a real estate person over there. And he told him, I'm here to get better. And the real estate guy and his wife took him in and helped him back to health. And then he started looking around for a plot that he wanted to build on. And somehow the real estate guy helped him obtain it. Okay? And so he started building all kinds of coral structures.
Well, so he's building them, but he's getting them from the ground.
Yeah, he's
Because-
quarrying them also.
Yeah,
Lifting them off the ground is just incredible.
because
how-
the structure itself, the castle, is fossilized coral.
Correct.
Which over there, like here in California, you dig down, you have bedrock. Over there, you dig down and there's fossilized coral. That's the way I understand it.
That's exactly correct.
So he's digging this up, and then he's lifting it up and building structures, and then he's sculpting also the coral,
That's
the
right.
fossilized coral.
Correct. And it's extremely interesting. And he's got I think he's got one piece out there that weighs like 30 tons. It's incredible. But what a lot of people don't know, is that he was in a different location than where it is today. Today it is in Homestead.
Right.
And it
Homestead,
was 10
Florida.
miles away. And what happened was that because of all the secrecy, because he used to work at night, there were a group of 4 or 5 guys one evening that came up and went into his original build and beat him up pretty good. They really, really hurt him. And he barely recovered from that. But when he did recover, and most people don't know this, when he did recover, he said, you know what? I'm going to move it to Homestead, which is 10 miles away from where he was, but it was in a more populated area where he felt more secure. There was more lighting, a lot more people, okay? And so he moved the castle to Homestead, and it took 3 years to move every rock that he had already erected. Okay? Now, the span of the build is 28 years. He spent his whole lifetime building this thing.
And the location of it is south of Miami.
Yeah, on Homestead.
Maybe like, I don't know, 45 to an hour.
Something
away.
like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Florida.
What he would tell people, he was a very courteous, very nice man. And what he would tell people all the time is that he knew the secrets of the Egyptians. Okay? And, nobody ever saw him working because he would work at night.
Right.
And he was extremely secretive. And there are stories out there that his neighbors were spying on him, okay? And he would always realize it and then stop working and just go on his merry way and do something else until they got tired and left, and then he would continue his erecting and working and so forth.
He must have been a brilliant man because I in researching and prepping, and I actually went to the castle in this was maybe 2016, something like that. 2016, around there.
Did you go inside?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was really cool because there's something about seeing it on video and then pictures, but once you actually walk it and then you actually see some of the things he built. And what was interesting is there are some Masonic signs there. Why is he doing that? Was he a Mason? I don't know. I didn't find anything that said he was a Mason. But there's this moon that he sculpted of the fossilized coral that, unfortunately, because of birds that were going on there and doing their business, the coral, that piece fell off because of the acidity of the poop from the birds. And so, they've tried to preserve it, and it's really cool. And there's he's got like these chairs. I mean, they're big, they're heavy structures that he's put up. But one of the things that I found in doing some of the research, you want to hit that, is that there are some people that have tested out the theory and tried to do it themselves the way that he did it, and saying that he's created he had some sort of generator, and he had like batteries that he was using to run and put light at night, and then also to move some of these huge, some of them are like, I think the famous door is like 9 tons.
Well, yeah, he the entrance to the castle, it's a big, huge rock that weighs 9 tons, and it's on a swivel, on a hinge, but it's so perfectly set that a child of 9 years old, 10 years old, with the push of his hand, would be able to open this or swivel the door open.
Right.
Something interesting about it, with a little bit of the passage of time, that exact intricate grading got off a little bit, and then they got a bunch of they got a company out there with a huge crane trying to fix it, this and that, and they were not able to set it as perfect as he had before.
Right.
Yeah.
And it ended up breaking.
It ended up, yeah. And he also wrote a book on magnetism. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were saying that he was an expert with magnets, and that he would be able to reverse the polarity of the magnets, and therefore do something to the weight of the coral, make it like inert, and he was able to
lift
somehow. Them. So many theories. It's it's super interesting, and he built it for by himself for his 16 love 16. Her name was Agnes, and he lifted it for her, and he built that for her.
He wanted her to come from Latvia or something.
Correct.
His past love.
Yeah. He was going to get married, and she dumped him, and I guess she broke his heart forever. Yeah.
It's interesting because some of it is, let's say, a story that came with it, and then some of it's the real life. And actually, he still has a lot of tools there that at the museum. Now it's a museum, and you can see some of the basic tools that he had. And but yeah, there's a lot of mystery behind it, because he's saying that he knew the secrets of how they put the
Egyptians,
the Great
pyramids.
Pyramid. And I even heard that someone claimed there was a door in the Great Pyramid, the same door that he built, that 9-ton door that circulates, that could be pushed, that there's one in the Great Pyramid, supposedly. and someone claimed that, and that, but it was done so perfectly that you wouldn't even know the door's there, that revolving door. And so apparently it hasn't been found. There's a lot of
I never heard that.
no, there's a
No.
lot of like mystery and stuff, and what is true is that this guy, short man,
5'5",
super thin,
90 pounds.
yeah, was able to put this structure together. And he was using leverage of some sort. There's pictures. I've seen some black and white pictures where, because I think this was built in the 20s to the 40s or something like that.
Yeah, between the 30s and the 30s.
In
He
that
came
time.
to America in 1919
Okay.
as an immigrant from Latvia.
So there's some pictures where there's like a little box, right, near the. He's got these tripods.
It reminds me of a little bit of, the other great inventor,
Tesla.
Tesla. He had something like that in that, what was it called, that something tower. It kind of reminds me of something like that. And there was an article written that there was also that box, and they don't know what was in that box, but they're
a black
saying,
box of some
yeah,
sort.
some kind of box where some kind of magnets. I think that these guys know something that we don't know right now with regards to resonance, energy, magnetism, the electromagnetic energy, that runs through the earth, like those ley lines. And they're able to somehow, use that to their benefit to change the polarity or something like that. Some of these experiments are being done right now.
Yeah. Randall Carlson, which was on Joe Rogan, and he was there with Graham Hancock the last time he was there, and he talked a little bit. I don't know if you remember that part. He's saying that they were doing some studies in the Bahamas where they were testing maybe this ancient technology where you're able to use somehow, I don't know if it's magnetism. He didn't go into the details of it because he said, I want to dedicate this podcast specifically to, the ancient apocalypse and talking about those things. But he did say that they're going to be releasing all this information soon. Outsourcing it, where they have found a way where maybe it was an ancient technology where they were able to move huge, heavy structures, and maybe it'll explain some of these megalithic monuments or structures like Göbekli Tepe. There was that other one,
Gigantia.
And then you have even some of these like Easter Island, right? And
oh yeah.
Like how on earth and why were these things built? And just regular conventional history and archaeology, it doesn't give us a very good explanation.
No, it doesn't. There's so many mysteries out there. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw on YouTube the other day a young man. He's a physicist, and he's got these. They're wires, and within them is some kind of magnet, and they're able to shift polarity. And he's got like 6 of them, and then there's like a rock. It's in the center, and when he turns it on, this thing goes wild. It just starts rotating right in the center. But because the magnets are, I think, changing polarity, it can go like this. It actually goes around, where he says that if they didn't, it would just be going straight without extending its circumference. So, there's just so much.
Yeah.
An electromagnetic energy is not visible, okay? But it exists. And we talked about the microwaves and all that stuff, that we have a microwave oven and this and that, not visible, but yeah, it heats the food and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, it would have been considered to average folk like magic, you know.
Yes.
But there's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot to learn.
Yeah. Even you showed me a video the other day of there was a guy. I don't know where this is near the equator, and they flush water down like a cylinder of
Yeah,
some sort, but the water goes through.
in one space, in one area it goes counterclockwise, and then the other area goes clockwise,
Yeah.
and it's got to do with being either on the north or the south end of the equator.
But he's talking about he walks like
10
what 10
yards,
yards or something.
and it's totally different.
So cool.
Oh, it's up. I mean, we must continue to learn.
Yeah. And I think that if we go in with that mindset that we don't know it all, and some of these things, maybe somebody solves, let's say, how this gentleman Ed built Coral Castle, because some people claim that they know how they built the pyramids using certain technology. They claim that they know
Yeah,
it,
well,
but
come forward, please.
yeah, and I mean, you got to test these theories out. But I did come across one video that he claimed to have read the books of Ed and on magnetism, and that he was using generators, and it was a really interesting video on it, which I'll link it. We can
Link
link
it so I can see it, because what I have found out in my own small research is that the book that he published is very difficult to understand.
Mhm.
In fact,
It's more for like engineering, right?
yeah,
Engineers.
most people don't understand it.
Yeah.
And the general consensus is that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, but it potentially not makes sense because we don't have the knowledge to be able to apply it like he did. He did know something, So, and he proved it. I mean, it's a tremendous feat of engineering.
Yeah.
And not only that, he moved it from one location to another. It took him 3 years. And from what I understand, he hired a local trucker, and he would ask very nicely to the trucker, please, can you step away for a moment,
Yeah.
out into that area? Just give me a chance to load it. I work in private, this and that. And within minutes, the truck would be loaded up with
Crazy.
4 or 6 huge rocks that weigh tons. So
Yeah. There's a lot of secrecy,
yeah,
which is, I think, part of what makes the mystery behind it.
that's right.
Cool. All right. Well,
All right, we'll
thanks
leave
for
it there.
sharing.